Everyone back there on my YouTube channel. It's Chris back with another Rumour Has It video where we talk about players linked to the football club this transfer window. Don't seem to be wanting to sign anybody this transfer window by the looks of it, do it. Financial fair play is strangling the club, but that doesn't stop us being linked to quite a few players. As a matter of fact, after the Joelinton news, I wouldn't be surprised if we do go into the market. It's very, very reminiscent of what happened when we signed Alexander Isak when Wilson got injured. This really smells of a similar type of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us maybe spend a bit of money on a midfielder and just shock everybody. But we're going to get stuck right into this link in a minute. It is actually a midfielder. And we'll cover this lad, run through the super duper stat computers and let you know what we think about how well he would fit in Newcastle United. Just before we do, as we always say, a little reminder, if you haven't already, click subscribe. We're over 6,300 subs now. So loads of room for you on the Evermore YouTube channel. We're growing really well. Had a great start to the year in terms of subscribers. So thank you very much to everybody who smashed that button there. 7,000 is the next milestone we're aiming for. We're going to have a belter prize for that as well. I'm just waiting to get it all firmed up. It's going to be an absolute corker. So recommend us to family and friends. Help the channel grow. It's all free content. Loads of different types of Newcastle United content that gets stuck in. And the odd rant that covers all sorts of stuff. If you fancy a bit of that, it's all free. But if you want to give a little bit back to the channel, there is a members option just below. Click whichever one suits you best. So who am I talking about today? Who am I waffling on about today? Here we go. Super duper stat computer loaded. We're talking about this lad, Ederson. No, not the Man City goalkeeper, the Atalanta midfielder from Serie A. Another Brazilian. We love a Brazilian in Newcastle, and that's just the cast of Jody Shaw. I'm only joking, of course. I'm talking about football players. But yes, this lad is a cracking player by all accounts. Steve Nixon apparently went over to watch Atlanta play Frosinone. We've been linked to loads of players in that club as well. I can say it right now. No superhero from Incredibles jumping up in the corner from Mark's little edits. Yeah, they battered them 5-0, and Ederson actually scored alongside another former Rumour Has It inductee in Cook Miners, the midfielder. So a very comprehensive win for Atlanta. In terms of what the lad's done this season, so he's had 20 appearances. In 5 goals, 1 assists, 50 tackles as well, which is good. As you can see, he's been really stuck in terms of this season. In terms of Atlanta, in total, he's been there since 2022, 64 appearances, 7 goals and 2 assists. What is he like as a player? You can see that heat map there, especially if you are full screen looking at it. So in terms of his heat map, he's a bit of a box-to-box midfielder, really. I saw, some of the South American correspondents talking about how well he is as a player in terms of, clued up in that. He can play defensive midfield. He's played there 3 times, I think, this season for Atlanta. He normally plays in the centre midfield berth, but he can play defensive midfield. He can hold it. He can track back well. He's a really good tackler, loads of pace, strength as well. Real strong player. Can shove a player off the ball, can hold a player off, tackles well, times his tackles well. So he can hold that position really well as a 6, and he can also break forward. Very good in the air. In the opposition box as well, and obviously has a finish on him as well. So could be a really talented player, and he's 24 years old, which is a great age for this club. Just sweeps in with everybody else who's kind of in there as well, with their key peak years ahead of them. So in terms of his kind of head-to-head stats wise, his passing is in the 54th percentile, pass completion 43, progressive passing is 71, key passes is a little bit low. I think what he tends to normally do is he kind of wins it, plays it off, and then runs into the box to try and get the end of things. So real box to box in that kind of way. Not like a Joelinton who gets the ball and runs 20 yards and just knocks people off, like Joelinton in his prime. He's not like that. Ederson, he's more running off the ball. But I think he could play really well with Bruno and Joelinton in the midfield 3. Obviously, Joelinton's out for the whole season, but I'm talking about for signing the lad for the next season. But I think he could fit in really well, with Bruno and Louis Miley, for example, in that midfield. Sean Longstaff looks well off the pace. I think he come back from injury too soon, so I think he could do with a rest. And if you brought this lad in, I think he could go straight into the team. I really do. I think he would offer a lot of key assets as well. He's not really an assist maker, as you can see there. They're quite low in the percentile. In terms of his goals are decent for players in position, as is his shots as well. Tackles, he's quite high. Interceptions, he's very, very high. He's one of them players that reads the game really well, so he can run and intercept a pass, jump in front of it, win it, track a player back, win it. It doesn't have to necessarily tackle him as a traditional tackle sense. Blocks as well. He gets himself in front of a lot of chances as well. And the fouls and recoveries are, aren't too bad there in terms of the statistics as well. So such a young player, he does have a lot of potential. There's no doubt about that. And obviously being a Brazilian, he would fit in perfectly with our 2 Brazilian midfielders already. Even though Joe's injured, he was still making feel welcome, as he did Bruno as well. But the rumour goes is that Atlanta don't want to sell him this window. It's a £35 million price tag, which may just put us off. If Dominic Solanke's too much money for us, this lad is probably going to put put the FFP restraints on, and we won't be able to sign him either. But his wage is really modest, as you can see there. His contract expires in June as well. In terms of how he compares to Bruno, Bruno is obviously passing stats and everything else a lot better, but he does score more goals, intercepts, and tackles more. Does Ederson? So I think he could play really well with Bruno. So he could give him that number 6 cover, and he could also bomb forward and join that midfield 3 as well. But I think he would have the nous to stay back, which is something that we don't have in the midfield at the minute. Now, this is off the back of, Steve Nixon went over to watch, as I say, the links out in the media. It started to creep out, and these kind of transfers start to creep out from reliable sources. Sources who don't throw ITKs out there, and you start to think to yourself, hang on a minute, there might be a little bit of noise behind this, especially if Steve Nixon's gone over to watch. He could very well be looking at this lad as well. But this is also off the back of the news that has come out, I think, in the iNews today, that Calvin Phillips apparently has his heart set on a move to Newcastle, and then the stories go. And again, this is probably ITK stuff. I don't know if it's true or not, but he's put in a formal transfer request from Manchester City because he's getting frustrated at the lack of movement in terms of his future. So that's interesting, because we wanted him on loan, and Phillips sounds like he's had enough and he's putting a transfer request. That wouldn't be good for us because we couldn't afford him in this transfer window anyway. So he would end up somewhere else, maybe West Ham, Spurs, Palace, even, who knows. But we couldn't afford Phillips as a full transfer. But maybe this might reignite the loan discussions, because if Pep Guardiola truly wants what's best for that player, he won't stand in his way and allow him to go and join a club. But maybe they still see us as a problem, in terms of the top 4. We're way out of the title race, so there's no issues for us being an issue for Man City. I don't think we're in the top 4 race really, so I don't think they should look at us as a rival anymore. But as Eddie Howe says, we don't have any friends really in the loan market. Certainly not, the likes of Manchester United and Liverpool have showed that in the past as well. So they're not interested in that. They're happy to deal with the people who own 80% of us, by the way, but they won't deal with us in terms of loans or anything like that. Chelsea obviously had no problems with Lewis Hall. And Manchester City potentially may loan us Calvin Phillips, but could be an interesting one, I think, towards the back 2 weeks of this transfer window. We definitely need midfielders now. I was reading and hearing that the club were after a centre forward and a number 6, and now with Joelinton's injury, they're going to have to go for another midfielder. Maybe Ederson could be 2 and 1 for them, a player that could play the 6 and could also push forward and be a bit more of an attacking threat as well. But Joe Willock's looking good in terms of on the exercise bike. Hopefully he's going to be back soon as well, which is a massive boost for the club as well. We need Joe Willock back to add some more quality and goals and progressive running in that midfield, and he can fill in the front 3 as well. So having Joe Willock back is paramount, absolutely. But hopefully this window is going to heat up a bit more in the next 2 weeks. Now we've got a bit of a break. We can maybe bring a player in, get them settled in, a few training sessions with the lads, and maybe have a chance of appearing against Villa. Because as it stands at the minute, the midfield against Villa is going to be Sean Longstaff, Bruno Guimaraes, and Louis Miley, because they're the only players who are fit and available. And Bruno is 1 yellow card away from his 10th yellow card of the season and a 2-game ban. So when we play Luton and Forest, he won't be able to play. So we could really do with some reinforcements in ASAP. But let us know what you guys think of Ederson. Do you think he's a good player? Do you think he's worth having a dabble at? Do you think we'll get him this window with that £35 million price tag? Or do you think this is going to be a summer deal, which sounds like it may very well be the case? But desperate times call to accelerate plans, and maybe this one might get pushed forward a little bit quicker. But drop us a comment. We always like to hear from you. We always do our best to engage with you. And as I mentioned at the start, if you fancy it, smash subscribe. We'd love to have you on board. There's a great community here, great in the chat as well. When me and Mark do what's going on Monday nights, there's some great crack between everybody flying around. Nice safe space. Nobody gets yelled at. Nobody gets flicked out for having a difference of opinion. We're not one of those channels, with that kind of arrogance that if you disagree with us, that you're not welcome. You disagree with us as much as you want. That's absolutely fine. No abuse, just chat, just football crack, and we welcome that as well. So smash that button, come and join us. Like the video to help the channel grow around YouTube. Be a member if you fancy it. It's less than £2 a month. Good value for money, that. So smash whatever button suits you best. Have a great day, everyone, and let's hope that we're going to have some signings and some movement in the transfer market very, very soon, because boy, do we need it. See you later, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.